timing. Let's go skate. The first thing to get wired is rolling into banks, like this little one here. As you come to the edge of the bank, bend your knees slightly to stay centered, ride down and stop. Ride down the same bank until you can do it every time without falling before you try bigger ones. For large banks, the technique is exactly the same. As you start to ride down bigger banks, remember to keep your knees bent to stay centered and watch where you're going. Now that you have rolling in wired, let's move on to carving like you learned in the driveway section around the cones, only here we'll do it on the banks. To carve frontside with your body facing the bank, roll up the bank at an angle. As you get to the peak of the carve, put a slight amount of pressure on your heels to turn. Keep your knees bent to stay centered and continue to ride down the bank as you would if you were rolling in. To carve backside, roll up the bank at an angle with your back to the bank as you get to the peak. This time, put slight pressure on your toes, keeping your knees bent to stay centered, and continue to ride down the bank like you did frontside. Now let's carve the banked corners. The corner is the spot where two banks or transitions come together. Watch how my knees straighten out at the middle point of the corner. This is called pumping and is similar to unweighting, only applied to the center of the corner. This pumping technique is what allows me to skate around the whole park without having to push. Learning these last two tricks are so critical to becoming a good skateboarder because no matter where you're skating, you'll always need to know how to roll down and carve banks and corners to keep your speed. Now I want to show you acid drops. Acid drops are a very important trick to learn to help you understand how to absorb an impact when you're out skating. To do an acid drop, as you approach the end of the ledge, the trick is to hold your front wheels level with your back until your back wheels fall off the end of the ledge. To do this, simply apply a little bit of pressure to your tail as your front wheels clear the end of the ledge. As your back wheels roll off the edge, stay with your board, land with your knees bent to absorb the impact, and ride away. Now that we're leaving, and you know how to do acid drops, let's learn one more trick on our way out, firecracker. To do a firecracker, put as much weight and pressure as you can on your tail as your back wheels leave the curb. The difference with a firecracker and just riding off the curb is that you literally want to ride your back wheels down the back side of the curb. And you'll know when you do it right because the sound of your tail smacking the curb will let your mom at home know that it's time to pick you up. Now that I gotta go, I just want to say thanks for coming down to the skate park to skate with me.
Taking the time to develop good balance no matter what you're trying is fundamental to riding a skateboard well.
In this next section, we're going to be teaching you 360s, manuals, soccer ball flips, and we even have a couple bonus tricks for you. So check it out. 360s can be done frontside and backside. Standing with your front foot on your front truck bolts and your back foot on your tail. To do a frontside 360, first turn your head and your shoulders backside like you're winding up, and then snap your head and shoulders frontside. Follow the motion of your head and shoulders with your waist while putting just enough pressure on your tail to lift your front wheels off the ground. Much like tic-tacking, your back wheels become the pivoting point that allows your whole body to do a 360. Now try the same thing backside. This time, wind up frontside and snap your head and shoulders backside. While turning backside, put pressure on your tail to allow your whole body to pivot around, doing a 360.
I think the best manuals in the business are probably Day One. Oh, sleeping on Day One. Day One gets the king. And I'll give Rodney a close second too. Yeah.
Manuals are about balance. This trick is about finding your balance while wheeling on either your back or front wheels only. That is the trick. Either riding or just standing still with your knees bent, put some pressure on your tail. As you put pressure on your tail, loosen up and find your balance while riding on only your back wheels. Sometimes that means straightening your legs out, and sometimes that means bending your knees. This trick takes some time to learn. Another way to improve is to just ride down your sidewalk using the lines as markers to see how many blocks you can manual at a time. To learn soccer ball flips, riding with your feet on your bolts, step off your board with both feet, starting with your back foot first. On the step with your front foot, be ready to jump as you flip the board with the toes of your back foot under the rail of the board. Jump over the board when your feet come into contact with your grip tape, land and ride away, trying to keep the same speed you started with. Now that you know how to do acid drops, Richard is going to show you how to acid drop into banks. As you ride off the platform, the difference with landing into a bank is your body position. You'll need to lean forward slightly more to compensate for the incline of the bank. The tips for pulling acid drops into banks are keeping your knees bent to keep your weight centered over the middle of your board when landing, and watching what you're doing and where you're going. Now that you've pulled it, check out bomb drops. Bomb drops are just a super fun and easy way to get comfortable riding your skateboard. Just grab your board from wherever, the nose, the tail, the side rail, and jump on it. Just run and jump. Throw your board, get your board close to your feet as possible when you're in the air, and land. Now we're going to move into learning the foundation trick to modern day skateboarding, the ollie. Alan Gelfand did the first no-handed airs way back in the late 70s on vert. His friends nicknamed him Ollie because of his fast skateboarding style. Street ollies were first done by Rodney Mullen in 1983. 17 years later, Danny Wainwright set the world record highest ollie at 44.5 inches. And in 2002, Andrew Reynolds did the longest ollie, clearing 22 feet ramp to ramp. Prior to ollieing, I suggest that you know how to tic-tac and carve on banks so that you feel balanced on your skateboard. Stand on your board and rock back and forth to determine whether your trucks need to be tightened or loosened. Flip your board over and tighten or loosen your kingpin bolt as needed. A few suggestions I have for practicing ollies before rolling are on your grass, cracks in the sidewalk, welcome mats, or on your living room carpet if your parents permit. To ollie, place your front foot right behind your front truck bolts and just above the center of your board. Place your back foot on the edge of the tail with your heel hanging off and your toes on the opposite edge of the board. It's important that you are on the balls of your feet. As you bend your knees and begin to jump, force your tail to the ground while jumping at the same time. Imagine the response of your hand touching a hot burning stove. That is the same response you want from your tail snapping off the ground. As you relax your front foot, slide it up towards the nose of your board. Your front foot guides and lifts your board into the air. Your back foot must rise to the same height as your front foot, leveling out your ollie. With your knees still bent, land on all four wheels to absorb the impact of your landing. When you feel confident that you have this trick wired, you can try it up curbs, down curbs, on banks, on quarter pipes and half pipes, and anywhere else that you can imagine. The ollie is the one trick that will take you everywhere.